Hey, it's Liz with Crafty Queens. Today we're going to try to distill 10 hours of work into less than a 10-minute video. We're taking some different scrap wood pieces, and I love Titebond glue. It'll be used throughout this whole project. And we're going to make an old rustic farmhouse. This was technically a custom order, although I had lots of creative freedom because the lady said I am not picky on colors or anything. Just do what you do, girl. I just wanted to say Bull Run Farmhouse. So Miss Tammy, if you're watching this, I hope you love it, girl, just as much as I do. So once we get all of our pieces glued together and let it sit for at least 30 minutes, sometimes I'll do overnight, I come back in with some plaster and I cover the entire house. The big piece, all the little pieces, anywhere except where I'm going to have a roof. And then we'll let the plaster sit at least overnight, sometimes longer, and then give it a good sanding. Once that's done, we'll dust off all the plaster dust and we will start aging our house. The thing I love about doing these is it's a lot of very simple steps, but it is a lot of steps and it's a lot of layers. And the more layering that you do, the better that it's going to look. And yes, it will look a lot worse before it starts looking better, but trust the process and it will all come together. So I used a sponge and some paint. Now I'm using a foam brush and some Mod Podge. You could use glue, you could use palette knives, you could use all kinds of different ways and tools to get your layers on here to make it look like the oldest, rustiest, crustiest farmhouse you ever did see. This particular farmhouse is going to have white and brown, and then it's going to have pops of color. So you'll see here in some sections I'm going to add blue. When we do awnings and shutters and things like that later, you will see other colors come in as well. Either dry with a heat tool or let your layers sit in between and cure. That way you're not mixing mud. Now this tool is called miter snips, and we are taking our miter snips and some scrap pieces of wood, and we are making our roofs. We'll cut them, we'll sand them, we'll paint them, we'll probably sand them some more. Again, layers. So because you'll be able to see some of the roof from underneath, I do kind of do like a lip around the outer edge, as you saw there. Then we'll take some paint and water and we will grungy up our house with a paintbrush. You could use a toothbrush, you could use Q-tip, sponges, whatever you like, and I just wipe off the excess with a paper towel as I go. Again, just drying in between because this is a very wet layer using the water with the paint. So then once our roofs were dry, we just sanded the edges and the tops, made them look like they matched this farmhouse, and then our trusty dusty Titebond quick and thick glue again, and put them on. For the roof, I did some brown paint and I used a baby wipe to smooth it out so that I could still see some of that beautiful grain under there. And then the roof will be ready to put on. I do like to sand between layers. It'll kind of bring back some brightness or some underneath colors that you might have forgot about. I just love the look of doing that between your layers as well. Of course, once everything's dry. Here is a layer of some wax. This one in particular is some black wax. Then I used a straight edge to map out where I want some windows. And in this particular case, I used a paint marker. Now I did like designs and stuff too. Later, I realized I'm just going to be painting over that. So you might want to save the design part for later and just do the boxy part. I've done several houses and I am learning this process as I go. So you'll learn how to be more and more efficient and what you like the look of too. Once I had my shape of windows and the placement of where I wanted them, it was time to go ahead and fill them in with some paint. Birds, I am sitting in the pickup line at school and they are loving this life today. It's sunny and 70 in Ohio today while I'm recording this. Okay, so back to the project. So we got all of our windows filled in. Now I do have places for doors, but I didn't fill those in with black. We're going to do something different later. Change of scenery. We are now in my living room, not in my basement. We'll later turn to my dining room. I get bored or need to move my hips a certain way, so I kind of move around my house sometimes. It was too cold when I did this house, but I cannot wait to go outside and craft regularly. Now once we have the black blocks of windows, then we can do our white edging. And this is where you can add those pretty details to the windows. You can decide what way they're gonna go, all that good stuff. Lots of people like to just do it on the outside edge, and that's beautiful too, and I've done that. I'll probably do it again, but for this particular farmhouse, I wanted a little bit of black left around the edges. This is where the details start really coming together and kind of giving your house that personality. Now, I get kind of involved, and if this wasn't a custom order that I already knew it's going to be a farmhouse, right? This is usually the point where I decide, is this a house? Is this a business? Is this like a few businesses, right? What is this? And then that's kind of where our personality starts to kind of come together for whatever project we're working on. Once I got the windows added, it was time to find shutters and awnings and all kinds of fun stuff. You'll see there I got out some yellow, blue, and red just for some pops of color. And we do just about the same to these. They're obviously a lot tinier, but we sand, we paint, we sand some more, we paint, we'll add some wax, all the good stuff. And then we'll start placing them where we need them. A lot of times I'll use a toothpick or a palette knife to help, definitely tweezers, all that stuff helps. Now for the next fun step, we're going to take this rotary tool, comes with some attachments, sanders, polishers, drill, yada yada yada. This particular attachment is going to cut out our doors. And so we're just going to cut a space, and then later we'll go in with some paint. Very quick and easy to use and switch. Once we get the doors cut out, we'll go ahead and sand them smooth. I also use this tool to drill holes for different metal embellishments, rusty or not. I like to add nails and washers and lots of little doodads that I kind of collect in the craft room. This nice big window is going to have linen hanging out the window, so I put 2 holes there. Now this stuff here was genuinely rusted, but I have faux rusted things. I've sped up the rusting process, lots of different ways you can do it. Now before we get all excited with our metal embellishments, I did need to paint the doors. I use black paint and water for this. I do just paint in the door, and then I do black paint and water outside the door to just add a little bit of aging, and then I'll take a paper towel and wipe a lot of that back, just like we did in other portions of the house. Again, another very simple step, but a lot of fun, very therapeutic. You're just kind of having fun with it, doing weird things, placing stuff where, you know, maybe you need something in that spot, or maybe it's the perfect spot to hold this or that. So much creative freedom here. Now that we have our clothesline hung, it was time to get some linen. So I am using 2 different kinds. One is striped and one is not. And we will hang that on our little line. We also made a beautiful Bull Run Farmhouse sign. We antique waxed it and hung it right there. Then all we needed was a base. I found this beautiful piece of weathered wood. This was in the house we moved into 8 years ago. So I've been cutting it and using it for different things. I did want to match those cut ends to reflect the rest of the wood, and so I kind of tried to do that with some paint and glue. And then our perfect chippy rustic base was all ready for its beautiful old farmhouse. I really love this one. It turned out so beautiful. The customer ended up loving it as well, which made my heart so happy. And what's really exciting is this is being put in her old home that she has turned into an Airbnb, so lots of people will get to see its gorgeous beauty. If y'all make something like this, I want to know. If you love this, I want to know. If you do it differently or brighter or more pretty, I would love to know. I think once I get the hang of the houses, adding trees and different things outside might be fun. I've also seen lots of fun ways you can make these things functional, like make them into a key holder or a pencil holder or whatever. This particular one is a piece of decor that you can feast your eyes on. It's all the way around. It's stunning. I hope you love it as much as I do. Thanks again for watching. Have a great day, and we will see you next time.